Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review for the latest episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., All the Comforts of Home. And I feel kind of iffy on this episode. I don't outright hate it, but it feels like there's a lot packed into this episode. A lot of things going on, and it just kind of gets to the point where it's like, okay, we end it, and we see the preview for kind of what's going on afterwards, and it's going, could we be going in that direction? Seems a little bit weird. So, the episode starts out, and we are introduced to Ruby, who is General Hale's daughter. She's just doing her stuff. She's got a Quake poster and everything in her room, and she's pretty much getting the talking to from her mother for skipping classes and everything, saying that she needs to go to class and trying to make up for being harsh by asking if she wanted to do breakfast and all that, but Ruby was acting like a stupid teenager and said she's not 11 anymore and go off. But afterwards, she asks her mother if she's the good guy, because it really was weird. We had the typical, okay, it's going to be one of the teenager people, but then she asks a really pointed question talking about, okay, S.H.I.E.L.D. used to be the good guys. Why are you going after them? Are you the good guys? And it's like, well, I've got orders to follow from people even above me. I've got bosses as well. I gotta go after them. It's like, okay, who are those other bosses and all that? So, then we get back to our people who everybody got back from the monolith all right. So, okay. And they come back into the lighthouse. And that was evidently a kind of failsafe done by, let's see, General Rick Stoner, which, I forget the actor's name, but it's the guy that voices Krunk in Emperor's New Groove, and just seeing him with that mustache and everything, it was just really funny, doing like, yes, electronic mail and all that kind of stuff, Project Reclamation, and Coulson's like, I kind of remember hearing about this, but like, it was the 1972 hydrogen wave crisis that was averted, so it's like, okay. So, they pretty much just get themselves settled up together, figuring out what's going on, and we see that they're looking around the base, they find another Chronicom person, Noah, and it's like, oh, okay, and we get some more information about Enoch being kind of more reckless than other ones, and it's kind of cool, because he pops up when May and Fitz are kind of exploring, like, okay, we need some medical attention for people, let's kind of look around and see what's going on here, and they find 3 other monoliths locked up, and that's when, of course, Noah comes in and gives them the spiel and all that, and they're safe here, you guys know about it, but you're here, so we're good here. Oh, they're going through, Daisy wakes up, they look into what's going on, they find this light in the sky, and oh, okay, we gotta go find that, because that was the kind of telltale sign that Coulson heard from Voss. So, Daisy decides to stay behind, and people were like, well, why don't you come with us? And I'm like, well, she's, of course, worried about setting off the apocalypse, but nobody, at least in what I saw in this episode, was like, hey, we need to take out that inhuman power blocker that's still in your neck, so you can use your powers. Yeah. But I can understand that she's freaked out and she's setting up an alert. She finds out that everybody's on the most wanted list. She's like, crap, have to be on alert. They get through the tunnels because it's all connected around. They go, oh, okay. Mac making a funny kind of 80s movie reference to, like, yeah, subterranean mole people using the tunnels. They go out, they find this car, and they go on their way to get to the Zephyr, to get to where the lights pulsating. And, of course, while they're en route, Yo-Yo's freaking out about, oh god, everything's doing this again, and she's like, Mac just calms her down. I really like Mac's character. He's the one that kind of, like, binds the team to some things, because Coulson's like, alright, we gotta take that van, and Mac's like, no. Then he goes, alright, we'll borrow the van, and then return it back. And like, Mac, yeah. And he just has that he's had this darkness that he kind of dealt with the Ghost Rider and all that. But I like them being that optimist and being like, listen, we got to do the things that are right and help people and everything. And he was helping Yo-Yo kind of get through what she was going through. And they find out that the light pulsing is not coming down from the sky, it's going up. It's what Hive used to signal the Kree. And they're like, oh crap, we got to worry about that. So they get there, and that's kind of where we're at the moment. We then shift over, we see, after they kind of left town, that Deke has popped up in our present, his past. And he's like freaked out. He hugs Tree, and Swinley's like, you'll be fine after you come down after whatever you're on. And he almost ate a thrown away ice cream cone in the trash can, which, to me, with the ubiquity of ice cream cones, I would be like, I wouldn't do that. But if I was someone who had only heard the tales of ice cream cones, I certainly understand it. Now, granted, we get this elongated scene of Deke coming to grips with the awesomeness that is this past and the history that he has read about. He goes to a bar, he orders a beer, finds out that it's not his taste, but then he's given a Zima and he knocks those back like a motherfucker and eats cheeseburgers and onion rings, and he's like, yes. Now, granted, did this go on for a little too long? I don't quite think so. Granted, I think it could have been better put. I like what it is doing to show Deke the consequences of what he is fighting for, of fighting for just walking around outside, seeing the sun, seeing trees, seeing him react that way of a dying man who's thirsty for water, getting that water, getting these kind of cool things, was really cool for his character and very well done in like developing him while he's drunk trying to get away from the dude because he has to sell his tab, but of course he doesn't have Earth money. He at first tries to do the token thing, but he's like, oh, okay, and then he gets knocked out. Now, I like this, but it enters the issue of the whole time paradox of how does time work here? Now, I know that sounds like a big, loaded, gigantic question, but seriously, I can understand if time does not move in the same kind of fashion that we think of. Bringing him back of the explosion, rippling out, if you will, and sucking things back in. Monolith-wise and all that. But we have not been treated that way, and we have not been shown anything that way, so hopefully they come up with a whole thing to tell us why someone, well, of course they could say that little piece of the monolith was what got him before the explosion happened. I can deal with that. It's kind of a little bit weird. But temporal kind of bubble liquid thing taking him as well. Fine. I'm just worried about what repercussions will happen. But then again, it could work in our favor of that. If Deke disappears, the future does not exist like that did. So we could see some interesting possibilities there. So Daisy gets that alert that Deke's out. So she goes out. She has to borrow Noah's suit. She pretends to be his social worker and gets her all the papers and all that. And he's like, listen, I didn't tell him anything about it because she was worried that he would lie about Coulson and S.H.I.E.L.D. and all that kind of stuff. But, of course, he didn't. He's like, no, I'm good. And that's about the end of that at the moment. Gets back to base, all that kind of stuff. Our S.H.I.E.L.D. team gets to the Kree signaling device, and we find Agent Piper there. She was in the whole LMD arc, and granted, it's been so long that I was kind of like, oh, that woman! Okay. And she puts up this story, she's saying that she was trying to figure out what's going on here, thinking that they would come here. And they mess with it, they're like, hey, there's this kind of man-made thing in here pretty much being a timer. So we find out that Piper flipped with General Hale, and that she just wants to bring the S.H.I.E.L.D. people in. She kind of deal. Okay, I'm like, alright. But we see that these people come in, and this head woman, and she says, fire! And starts this whole kind of fight thing going on, which was a pretty good fight. May still not in top form, but I'm still going, yeah, badass, go for it. Mac finds out that the soldiers are robots. Now, not as advanced as the LMDs, I believe, but we've only gotten this. And he's like, go for the faces and everything. And Coulson is able to convince Piper to be on their side, and they're trying to do everything, but of course we see that the woman, at first I thought was a Kree or whatnot, because of kind of the weaponry she was using was kind of similar. I'm like, oh, okay, this is weird. And she's about to throw her ring disc at Mac, and Yo-Yo couldn't handle it and went to stop it or whatnot, or block it, and we find her arms are cut off. Now, I do not have a problem with her arms being cut off. It just happens so quickly, and usually with a super speed kind of thing, you kind of have to look, you have to show the pose, because she is stopped, and her arms are at her sides, chopped off. They need me to believe that it just looked very weird. It's like, shouldn't it have chopped her top off too? If it just depended upon how she was running. It just was a very weird cut to go from her having arms to her having no arms. And it's like, holy shit. They, of course, are able to get out. Mac and everybody get her. We don't know if they're going to give her prosthetics or not, because her future self had no arms as well. But this goes into another kind of time paradox kind of thing, because we had seen Robin talking to May in the past, and Yo-Yo had both arms when she went to confront Cassius with a spear thing. I'm hurting my brain almost with this, but it always happens with time travel. It's usually better to just keep it very simple. That's my biggest issue here. She had arms in the past, in the future past. Oh, sorry, it's just in the past, future, that was supposed to happen with the whole apocalypse thing. Oh god, okay. All we know is that at some point in this present future, she was supposed to have arms to go fight Cassius. At this point, she does not. So evidently there's either some things that have changed or are in the process of changing. I don't know. Otherwise it's prosthetics. Only thing that works. So they've saved her, and they're like, okay, they got the Kree device back at base. We're going, alright. But Daisy's about to tell, before they got back, Daisy's like, yeah, you have no idea what I gotta tell you guys. And he's like, listen, you gotta hurry. That, of course, is when they help with Yo-Yo and all that. Max kind of just freaked out about everything. We see them carting off the Kree device towards the monoliths. Noah sees that it's still heating up, and while this is going on, we see that the woman who was with the soldiers was Ruby. And she's like, listen, Quake wasn't there. I want Quake. And I'm like, why do you want Quake? Is she just a super obsessive stalker fangirl? I was like, that's interesting, with like deadly training. And she's like, listen, you were sloppy. None better than that. You gotta think about what you've done. You messed everything up. And General Hale leaves, and that's, of course, when we start seeing the whole thing with the Kree device explode, killing Noah because he sacrificed himself. Well, it's assumed that he's dead at this point because he put his body over it to deaden the explosion, kind of, so we'll kind of have to see. I'm going with he's pretty much dead. And we see that General Hale kind of closes the door, and Ruby's in a really secure location, and she evidently wants S.H.I.E.L.D. for some reason. Okay. We then get to the end of the episode, and we see Creel, the absorbing membrane, brought in, because it's in Philadelphia, he's running, and General Hale's like, listen, I'm putting a team together. It's like, okay, this could be her version of kind of the Suicide Squad or whatnot. I'll have to see how this goes, what her whole thing is. I have to see what other kind of abilities Ruby has, if she's an Inhuman, if she is not an Inhuman but a powered individual. Opens up some interesting possibilities. It just goes into the fact that it felt like there were almost too many plates spinning at once. I'm like, we just got our people back, then we got the whole time travel thing still working in, and then we saw the previews for the next one that made it look almost like they're kind of ending the show with a kind of time thing. I don't know, building like it's building towards the end of, and they're talking about like all the stuff that was going on, time kind of stuff, and I'm like, why must this occur? I like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I like the cast. It's just when you start going off into too many things at once on a TV show, you have to watch out to how you can balance everything, and if you can create a compelling arc. I liked last season in how we had set kind of arcs that built on each other that made a whole story for the season. This feels weird. Because I thought we were going kind of one place, and then we're like, oh god, this time travel is getting kind of convoluted. And then we're getting through all this. We got General Hale, and we'll have to see what goes on. We could get some more answers or whatnot and rectify some situations going forward and see kind of what shakes out. So I'm hopeful. We'll have to see. So those are my opinions on the episode. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.